Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first ever episode of our, as of now, unnamed podcast. I'm your host, Kyler Wilmuth, and with me is your co-host and my good friend, Matthew Barry. This week, we're going to be talking Han Solo, a Star Wars story, Deadpool 2, and the Bumblebee trailer, which just dropped, and enjoy.
Hey, Kyler.
Yeah.
You ever sucked a dick?
Nope.
Solo, a Star Wars movie, just came out recently. Or Star Wars story, whatever you want to call them. What did you think, buddy?
I did not like this movie. I thought this was the most cookie-cutter, just by-the-numbers Star Wars movie I'd ever seen, and I've seen Rogue One.
They'll lynch you for it.
Yeah,
They'll
no, I don't
lynch you
care.
for it. I think we talked about this. I disagreed. I thought this with your assessment that Rogue One is worse. That is, which is funny because I think as we talk about this later, we're going to agree on all the major flaws.
No, I
Solo
feel like
happens.
really our consensus on this movie is going to be a lot of the same. I really don't think we have two varying opinions. That being, neither of us enjoyed this film, right? We both found this movie to be, I'd call it dull. I really can't, when it comes to things that I liked about it, it's almost like I'm playing,
Five out
it's
of
like,
10.
okay,
5 out
all
of
right,
10.
didn't ask, but all right. It's like the horrible list making that you see, kind of. Almost where it's like 10 things that the Star Wars prequels did right. When I think of things I liked about this movie, it's a lot like that.
Right.
So I guess to start off, the obvious concern that I had for this movie from the beginning, before it even came out, I don't know about you, but I thought it was going to be, surprisingly, it wasn't this bad, but I thought it was going to be a lot dumber than it actually ended up being. For example, I thought this movie was going to be like, here's how Han got there in the cantina the second before Obi-Wan Luke came.
I mean, this is like how many years before?
It's 10 years prior, but we didn't know that for a while leading up to the
Then
film.
again, though, like he looks completely different and sounds like a prepubescent Han.
Matt, I don't know if you know this, but Harrison Ford's fucking 70.
I know that. I'm just saying.
That's just whatever. You gotta.
One
just
thing we do
deal with
disagree on, we learned, is we have a bit of a switcheroo on how we feel about Han Solo and Lando. Whereas I couldn't really think of I don't even remember the actor's name.
Alden Ehrenreich.
That guy.
Yep.
As Han Solo. I had to remind myself that he was Han Solo. Not all the time. Sometimes I was just like, oh, we get Han's going on an adventure, but like
Han's
a lot
an
of
Avenger.
time it was just like, I gotta remind myself this is Han Solo. I was thinking about that while I was in the cinema. Whereas Lando, I was sold. I was like, yeah, this works. This works. But your consensus on this is quite the opposite, from my understanding.
Believe it or not, it's funny. Actually, a little bit of backstory before I explain this. There was a rumor going around. I don't know if it was ever confirmed. I don't know if this is an actual fact or it is rumor, but it is said that they actually had to bring an acting coach onto set because Disney was so displeased with Alden's performance as Han Solo. And so when I went in, I was expecting this to be terrible, but I was really honestly surprised because he was maybe one of my favorite things about the movie. I thought he was unbelievably, not necessarily like Han Solo. Like when I think of Harrison Ford and I think of him, they're very different people. So while no, he wasn't trying to capture every single direct mannerism of the character, he had that charm. He had the spirit, whereas Lando is the exact opposite. Donald Glover, who I was looking forward to far more. I couldn't wait to see him do Lando. He was doing an impression. It felt a lot like somebody, almost like when you see a Deadpool cosplayer, you know? Like they're just saying fucking like chimichangas every 2 seconds. And like, oh god, shut up, right? It's that kind of same level of annoyingness.
Hey, Kyler.
Yep.
Chimichanga!
All right, fine, fuck you. But it was that same level of annoyingness. No, he wasn't annoying, but he wasn't good. He didn't bring anything of his own to the character. I know a lot of people disagree with me on this. If you recall, before the movie came out, there was that video going around of, I don't remember his name, but an impressionist of Harrison Ford giving his best Han Solo. And it pretty much stemmed down to, he'd squint his eyes, lean back in his chair, rub his hands on his chin in that old Harrison Ford way, and lick his lip. And then he'd say something in a Harrison Ford manner. That's a fucking impressionist. That's not an actor, okay? Imagine giving that kind of guy like original dialogue. Imagine trying to have him emote in a new way. Like imagine him in a scene where something else was needed to where he couldn't just quote the book of Harrison Ford's Han Solo. It really wouldn't have worked. So I'm very happy they didn't go with that, and that's why I'm so displeased with Donald Glover, because I thought he was going to be a great Lando from the trailers and everything. It was really working for me, but in the movie, he just didn't pull it off. Whereas Alden, he was my favorite part of the movie, which blew my mind a little bit. I thought he was going to be terrible, but he was really, really good, and I just really enjoyed his performance. I loved how he captured the charm rather than just tried to impersonate Harrison Ford. Moving away from the acting side of things, what did you think of the actual characters in this film? Like Emilia Clarke. What was her character's name? I can't recall.
Kira.
Kira. Okay. What did you think of
Kira
her?
with a Q. It's like Kira with a. I thought it was a K, but it's like a Q. So now I say Kira, or something like that. Something retarded.
Okay.
Kira.
Right.
You gotta put emphasis.
Who
on the
decides
Q.
who's allowed to have a normal name like Luke? But then why is Obi-Wan like Obi
Have you heard
Doobie
some of
Scooby
like?
Flooby?
Yeah, have you heard some of like the names of just like casual like humans in the Star Wars? Like just not like space wizards like Obi-Wan Kenobi,
Space wizards.
but like just like regular people like in the Darth Vader comics, where just Imperial officers have weird names.
Okay.
Like they're all like of Asian descent, and then also we got Luke Skywalker, like almost like an ancient Western. I'm going off talk. I was talking about like
I don't
fucking
give a shit.
like how people back in the old days would like name their children and relating that to Star Wars.
These are my 4 daughters. They're all named Barbara. You can't think of any fucking thing else. And there's Eddie.
Eddie's also my daughter. Well, I was going to like tie this in to Kira.
Yeah, we need to come back to Kira.
Kira.
Do you think she really served a purpose in the movie? Because she's there for the first 10 minutes, then she's gone, and Han's entire motivation to really become who he is, be the smuggler, just so he can get back into what planet is it?
Corellia.
Corellia is.
Planet I always wanted to see in Star Wars.
Was it boring enough for you? Was it gray enough? Was it drab enough? Were you excited?
It's not how it is in Legends, but it's. I don't know if you want me to go into like in depth what it's supposed to be, but it's like.
No, go ahead.
It's supposed to be like a planet where it's famous for like its ships, right? And like they've had it's one of the first planets humans are supposed to be on, and there's some of like the best explorers and pilots come from there. That's why it's Han Solo, and they also build a lot of like ships that have like that Millennium Falcon design, and so you can kind of see that like you remember the Tantive 4 in the New Hope, that's a Corellian ship. They've got that ugly design.
See, I kind of love that.
It's so ugly.
I love ugly.
Hideous. I love all the ships in Star Wars that have symmetry to them.
Nah, fuck symmetry.
I love symmetry. How dare you dismiss symmetry?
Dismiss
you
symmetry.
Asymmetrical fuck.
Going back to Kira, though, did you feel that she served a purpose? Because the first 10 minutes, it's Han's entire reason for getting back. She's gone from the movie, but it feels like she's just back like 20 minutes later. And I don't know, that just seemed a little bit contrived. It was all a plot. It was a method of getting Han into the position that he should have been, that being a smuggler. He does his first heist with this gang that he's joined because he's trying to get enough money to get a ship to get back to Corellia to save the girl, save the day, right? But when she comes back, she doesn't really have much to do, it seems like. She's back in the movie. Their reuniting really is like, for how much of a focus it is, like a driving point plot-wise, and especially for Han's character, it's really just small. It's like running into a friend at a Walmart. It's like, oh, hey, and then you keep buying your grapes. You know what I mean?
it is kind of sudden and almost anticlimactic how like
That's the best word to describe it, anticlimactic, because nothing really
it's
comes
just
of it.
like you think
You're
that's
questioning the entire time, like, oh, is she gonna betray him? What's going on?
You-
Because she has this weird symbol on her wrist, and I guess this goes into spoilers. So if you don't want to hear about this, go ahead and pause it. But it's kind of obvious. I mean, her performance isn't exactly subtle, which leads me into if I like Emilia Clarke or not. I can't really tell if she's a good actress. She's fine. She's not bad. She's absolutely not, or else I'd be pointing that out.
I mean,
But maybe it's what she was given too.
not that I've seen the show, but like everybody does love her on Game of Thrones.
Yeah, she's good. When I say that, she's fine. She's fine. That's what I have to say about her. She's fine.
I don't know if it's. I don't think it's her performance. I think it's just you've given me a good point. It's more of her role in the film, which sometimes just can't be helped by the actor. You give me a good point. It's like she just follows them around. Actually, like if
Yeah.
you think about it, it's
Yeah.
like
Han at
Donkey
one
and
point-
Shrek.
She's not as annoying as Eddie fucking Murphy. I'll say that. So that's pretty good. There's
Emilia Clarke, not Eddie Murphy.
glowing reviews. Oh my god. But yeah, speaking of Emilia Clarke and spoilers, where her character ends up, I don't know if you want to give
I
your
wasn't
take on it
going to
first.
go into that right away, but
I
get
don't see
there.
why not,
I'll
though.
get there.
Okay.
I'll get there while we're
Okay,
still on the
okay.
topic of Kira. But I mean, like, really, her job in like a lot of that film is like just to like, what was? Now we have to point out. I think we both only seen this movie once.
I
Which
saw
might
it
be problematic.
at around 11 p.m. and I was bored, I'd say, the first half. And I was definitely paying attention, but I didn't feel like I had to be. The movie seemed to kind of it told the exact story you thought it was going to tell. Like everything that you thought would happen happened. It's pretty beat by beat. Yeah, everything you think is going to happen in this movie happens, and it makes no attempt to hide that. It's not it's I don't want to say shameless, but it's beat for beat almost. This movie had, for me, no exciting moments, no twists, no turns, except for one at the very end. And if you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But we'll get into that later. It's the most cookie cutter Star Wars movie besides Rogue One. Maybe more than Rogue One. I haven't really made up my mind.
Way more than Rogue One, in my opinion. Way more than Rogue One. I'm gonna go off topic. The only problem I have with Rogue One is it didn't flesh out its characters near enough as it should have.
No, absolutely not. I have
But
numerous
even
problems with Rogue One, but that is one of the biggest. Just the characters are nothing characters. They're just there to...
And another thing, in Rogue One, I didn't go into Rogue One like really knowing anything, and I didn't really even know that the movie was. I didn't really educate myself on I didn't look up many videos on it before it came out. I did that with I think Force Awakens and Last Jedi, and what's gonna happen in this movie, like a bunch of theories. But with Rogue One, I didn't do that, so I don't even think I really knew that the whole premise of the movie was
stealing the plans.
yeah.
The Death Star. Yeah.
So I didn't really know what to expect, even when I figured out that was the main premise. So I have to disagree with you there. But because in Han Solo, here's the thing: Han Solo has tons of signature things to him, which really, now that you mention it, that's why I think a Boba Fett movie would have worked. He's not on screen enough to where he's got so many signature things enough. Like, I know you don't like Boba Fett, and I'm not huge on him either. But do you see my point? He doesn't have many.
I do. That comes around to one of the biggest problems with this movie. It doesn't feel like Han Solo the movie, like who he is, and that's because we already know who he is. Everything you needed to know about the character of Han, you know. This movie has no arc. It's not like he's the good guy at first and he kind of becomes a smuggler, the Han we know. No, from the beginning he steals things to get by. He's the Han we know from the first 5 fucking minutes. The lines he says tell you, oh, this is Han, right?
It's not even really like him descending into a life of
No,
crime.
not at all.
He's already
in
a
life
piece of
crime.
shit.
Yeah.
With him
And
moment the
like
movie
I said, that's the
starts.
problem. This isn't a Han Solo movie. This is a movie about Han Solo's stuff. This is Han Solo cleans his garage, the film. Right? It's how he got the Millennium Falcon. It's how he got his blaster. It's how he met Chewbacca. It's how he got his fucking last name. Yeah, if you've ever wanted to see a movie where Han Solo gets his fucking last name, this is it. I hope you... God, I don't even know what to say about that. That was the low point of the movie where he walks up. This is the scene, right? He walks into the registration office to become an Imperial fighter. He wants to be in their Air Force. And he's like, I want to be a fighter. And they're like, all right, we let any fuck in, I guess. What's your name? Han. Well, what's your last name? I guess I don't have one. I'm alone. And that's the setup. That's the fucking setup. Han goes, I don't have one. I'm alone. And the dude goes, Han Solo. That's not how that should have fucking happened. It should have been, what's your name? Oh, I don't have one. The fuck does that mean? You may not have a family, but you have a last fucking name. Were you born, and then just your parents just,
born?
Were you just left at a doorstep with literally no name? What is that? But then they talk about his father later in the movie, so he knew him. This is so stupid.
Oh, yeah, they did know him. In Legends, he's, Listen, I'm gonna point this out. I don't like Legends. I don't like Legends. So don't lynch me. But in Legends, he's orphaned. That's all I know. Or I'm pretty sure that's how it is in Legends. So that would make sense in Legends if he just picked up a name eventually. Han.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a last name. It's like Conan in the movie Conan, not Conan. The redheaded ginger.
The redheaded ginger. That's like saying the banana, the fruit banana. The liquid water.
I don't think it's quite the same, as there are two very...
Okay, you're right, but it's just as dumb, and that's what matters.
But moving on to the big spoiler. One thing that I think could be interesting is you don't, as I'm sure you guys are aware, Darth Maul makes an appearance in the film very briefly, but it's a big highlight and something everybody brings up when they talk about this movie. And I have to admit, whenever he tells Kira to join him on Dathomir, I think that's actually kind of that could lead to a cool story. I don't know why. Just this innocent girl dealing with this psychopathic Sith Lord. That could be, I don't know. That's
I'm actually
not interesting.
No, I'm actually not 100% against that. But the thing is, this movie made $5 at the box
Sith
office.
Lord.
So we're never getting a sequel to this.
No, we don't need a sequel. I just want to see it.
They set up for a sequel pretty hard in this film.
Oh no, did they? I didn't really catch up on it.
Just with
how does it end? Doesn't it just end with just Han and Luke's? Oh, not Han and Luke, Han and Chewie just getting in the Millennium Falcon and flying off?
Yeah, pretty much. But it was.
Oh no, he goes. There's Crime Lord Jabba. But the thing is, I still feel like that very much.
Well, that's not. I don't know if that could potentially set up for a sequel, but I think that's more of setting up for just A New Hope because it feels the compulsive need to lead into A New Hope, like all Star Wars prequels do for whatever reason. But I was more of talking with Kira in that kind of sense. I think her story is definitely not over.
I really didn't think.
But it is now because this movie made $5.
Well, no, I didn't really think they were gonna make a movie off that. I felt like that was gonna be in the comics, and I want that to be in the comics. That's all I need.
I agree. We don't need a
has
second
his own
movie from
series
this.
now. I don't know when it takes place, if it's after his death or before his death. But that could be a great little side story. And I like. Do you like how they brought him back without an explanation? That's one thing.
In terms of things that I would expect from the Han Solo movie, I was expecting kind of a small story. Like, for example, the climax of this film, they're just fighting a single dude. It's it. It's pretty small. I like it. It's just some crime lord. I like how small it is. I love small scale stuff in this movie. For the most part, not everything, but for the most part, it did that pretty well. So I definitely didn't expect there to be a fucking Sith Lord in it.
Former Sith Lord.
Shut
You're
the
gonna
fuck
piss
up.
off the fanboys. He's not a
Oh
Sith Lord
God,
anymore.
I don't think I care. But anyway, so yeah, no, that was definitely unexpected. But does that make it clever? No, it just makes it unexpected. They could have,
Well-
they could have done plenty of things. Like, I really do feel like they probably just had a drawing board with like, all right, who do we want to do? It could have been anyone. So it being Darth Maul, maybe it's them looking at the expanded material. I've never seen Rebels, but I know there's some stuff with him in it that people really like. So it could have been that, but it could also just have been like what's someone people really wouldn't expect. Darth Maul, oh, he got cut in half. That's how at least most mainstream audiences perceive it. So that's probably why they made that choice. And so I don't think it was a bad choice. And if they elaborate on the character and make him more interesting than he was than that
I think
one
he
movie.
definitely becomes more interesting. At least I thought he was more interesting in Rebels. And Clone Wars, he's also. I'm sorry. In Clone Wars, he's also very. That was my water bottle. But
Cut that out.
don't cut out my waga. But like in second half of Clone Wars, and like when he first appears in Clone Wars again, he's pretty stupid. But like second half, he's got like cool motivations. That's how he loses a title of Sith Lord. By the way, it's actually a cool storyline. That's why I have to keep correcting you. But like later on, like it kind of ends with him in the comics. I think it was the comics anyway. Expand on this more, how he becomes an actual like a crime lord, and so that actually does, I think, tie in pretty well because we see he actually does become like really powerful near the end of, I think it was Clone Wars. So yeah, I think if there was any character that they were going to bring out, Darth Maul makes sense.
I mean, look,
If they're dealing with crime lords and crime
in terms
syndicates.
of his inclusion, I was fine with it. In terms of bringing Darth Maul back, a character I never really care about, this is probably the best way you could do it, just because it leaves open to expanding that character.
Yeah,
And also, you see he's got some stuff going on that's fun and interesting, and it's like, okay, this is material that I think something maybe cool could be done with. And so, no, I'm not against it. I think it's fine. On a different note, it's a miracle this movie is not worse than it is, if we're being honest. I honestly, when I went in to see it, I was expecting this to just be awful, like groaning every other second, thinking this was just the worst. It's not. It's not good, but it's not a bad movie. It's
are we going into
competent.
positives?
I guess we can go to positives. It's a miracle that this movie is as good as it is. The two original directors, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, they were the guys that made the Lego movie, and when they put it together, Disney came and looked at it, and they're like, this is way too jokey, way too improv, and so they hired Ron Howard to come in and, I guess, fix it, and probably make it more boring. So the fact that this...
wanted it to be more jokey, though?
I don't know if I wanted it more jokey, but it definitely didn't have a dark tone or anything. It was certainly lighthearted, just like all Star Wars movies are. But I want to see that original cut. I'm more than curious. That definitely piques my interest.
I honestly, any funny moment that happened, I didn't really laugh, and like
I didn't laugh once at this movie.
Theater was kind of quiet.
Yeah.
It was, some of them were really awkward.
Going to the scene though, when it shows the battle. I don't know what battle or what it was over. I don't really remember. But this was one of the few things that I kind of liked about the movie, and even then, it was way too short-lived. It cuts to 3 years later, and they're fighting on a planet. I don't know over what, but you see the Empire at war, and it's really cool to see this ground combat from like almost a new point of view. It's really, really cool, but it only lasts 10 seconds, and then it cuts to Han huddled with a few other troopers as they talk, and in all honesty, it looks like a kid's film. Like, it looks so cheap. I don't know what it is, but the background is just this weird blood red, and it looks so green screened, and their armor looks cheap and plasticky, and it just does not look like... What if I told you, Matt, this was the most expensive Star Wars movie ever made? What the fuck would you say to that if I told you Han Solo, a Star Wars tragedy, was the most expensive Star Wars film ever made?
Oh, what about all those Ewok costumes? The Ewoks in Return of the Jedi.
The Ewok costumes that
I
were
always
literally
thought Return of the Jedi.
slipping off their faces so you could see the actors beneath.
I honestly thought Return of the Jedi was like the most expensive, but apparently Howard the Duck is like more expensive than that movie, which is hilarious. But I mean, like, there's a lot of aliens in that one that are like all practical.
Apparently that's where the budget went to in this film, a lot of costume design, but you never see it because this movie's so dull looking. It's either brown or gray and it's always dark.
So did you not like the design of like the mud troopers there?
I may have, but I couldn't fucking see them. It was so you couldn't tell what was going on for a large chunk of this section. There was only like 10 seconds of it that I liked, and I was like, "Oh, this is really cool," and it stops. And then it cuts to a horrible, horrible gray scene after the battle's over. And you can't even see anyone's face because they're all in shadow. I don't know who lit this film, but
it is supposed to kind of like
really
be
bad.
like it's a muddy gray world.
No, you're right,
It's
you're
like-
right. But that's every scene in this movie. And specifically, I'm
Oh,
talking
you're saying
about
it's every scene.
yeah, and this scene I just remember it cuts
Really?
right
I
to it.
kind of thought it was fitting in that scene, so I kind of have to
Maybe, but every other scene is like that too. Even when they're in the crime lord's palace kind of place, it's just brown. It's just brown. It's boring. It's drab. It's dull. And the biggest problem is the lighting. It's so bad. I don't know if you noticed, but when it comes to cinematography, everybody's face is in shadow. Like, even people who are talking, you look at the camera and it's just in shadow. And it's not a style thing. It's just they didn't light them properly.
When you said that, are you talking about the crime lord? I forgot his name.
I don't remember it either.
The Vision. We'll call him Evil Vision.
Evil Vision.
We should talk about his performance too.
He
in
came
a
in...
second. Damn.
Oh.
God damn. But like,
I'm sorry.
like, are you talking about his palace or like the cantina where like
His palace.
I don't know. I thought it was like sleek, which is like opposed to like Jabba the Hutt's palace and like
Well, sure.
Tatooine. Would you think of Evil Vision?
He was fine. He was tiger face, man. I don't really know what was up with
Tiger
the
face.
scars.
This was like spilling out. Whoops, that could have been bad.
That's all right. Okay. He was fine. Not a great villain. He's just a crime lord. He doesn't really do much to make you fear him.
That's the thing about like crime lords in movies, and especially in Star Wars, is they're always kind of the same. They always have to be like the same kind of like, you know, scary. You know what I mean? Like they always just have to be, you know, if you don't pay them,
PG-13 tense.
well, I mean, like, there's only like so many ways you can make them different from each other. Like every crime lord in Star Wars might as well be Jabba the Hutt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's always just like, oh, you didn't pay him in time, Rancor. You know.
Yeah.
And you know, this guy doesn't have a Rancor, but he's still like unstable and angry, and like he was like, oh, you didn't pay me, well, you're gonna die. Well, I mean, like, so as far as, you know, that goes, you know, that's there, but like he's probably my favorite performance in the movie now that I think about it.
I still think it goes to Alden, and maybe that is just me being surprised that he wasn't like just the worst. But no, I really do think he was better than that. I enjoyed him as Han Solo. He captured the spirit just as I was hoping someone would. I was really, really, really happily surprised by him.
I have to ask, I think I kind of asked this earlier, but like after episode 9 comes out, do you think they're never going to return to like the main series? Do you think they're just going to make new trilogies from now on? Because there's always going to be Star Wars movies, of course, but do you think they're never going to, or are we just in an endless state where like, now we got to see what happens to Rey after all these years, or now we have to see what happens to the other people that were introduced after Rey, or do you think it's just going to be new trilogies?
I don't know if it's possible for Disney to escape the Skywalkers. I think there will always be.
Well, I guess
There's
no,
gonna
Kylo
be
Ren's alive.
There's
That's
gonna be
right, he's a
hints of it.
Skywalker.
There's just gonna be like, they'll find ways. They'll find ways, whether it's Force ghosts or they bring everyone back to life 40 years from now with CGI.
Here's what I think will happen. Obviously, there's a new trilogy. Or is there like 2 trilogies out? I don't remember. Ryan Johnson's doing one. What's the other one?
Ryan Johnson's doing 2.
He's doing 2?
He's doing 2.
Jesus.
Yep.
I'm surprised they're still letting him do it after like the backlash. Even though we both agree The Last Jedi is not a bad film.
No.
It's just suffers structural issues.
I refer to The Last Jedi as, well, we're just talking about all Star Wars now, I guess. But no, I refer to The Last Jedi as an okay movie with some great moments. Like, I want to edit it down because it's way too fucking long. I just edit it down to like an hour. Just
Yeah.
give me the good parts. Just
I
give me the
feel-
cool bits.
It's just structural issues.
So now that we've been completely derailed, you want to talk about more positives for Solo? I don't feel like we've given those enough of a go. And I know there's probably not a ton. But
Train
like
heist. Do you like the train heist?
No.
No.
No. I thought.
I wasn't. Drake said he loved it.
Really?
Yeah, I was watching it with him, and he was just like, "Well, I like the train heist. That was cool." And I was like, "It was okay. I didn't hate it. It was just, it was a little. I thought it was, you know what?
I thought it was underwhelming. Not that it was
to-
something to build up to, but it wasn't. It was just kind of boring. There
I've-
was nothing spectacular.
It was a
about
little
it.
boring sometimes, but my favorite bits were like Han and Chewie had to like detach the cars, and they seem to have like the riskier job, you could say.
Okay.
And I really like Chewie in that sequence. I don't know why.
Do you think Han and Chewie had good chemistry in this movie?
I think that's
Yeah,
like the moment
yeah.
where their chemistry got really good. That's why I liked that part.
Yeah, no,
that's
they
where I
did.
think their chemistry kind of like really started to come together.
I mean, there was that another kind of bad forced line of dialogue where he's like, "So what's your name again? Chewbacca?" Well, I'm not saying that, and that's just shut up.
Then
But-
again, like, is he just? Do we just need to be it to where he just says Chewie in the next scene?
That's all you have to do.
Yes, yeah.
That's all you have to do. You don't have to have a fucking outer spoken monologue about why he shortened his best friend's name from the longest name ever written to something a human can say. You just have him call him fucking Chewie. That's all you need. Just like you don't need to have a scene explaining where Han Solo's last name comes from. That's so stupid. So positives, right? Yeah.
How'd you like the Kessel heist though? The Kessel scene.
The Kessel Run, it doesn't make much sense. They completely ignore the fact that the Kessel Run it's inaccurate how Han describes it. He says the Millennium Falcon is the ship that made the Kessel Run in, 12 parsecs?
Mm-hmm.
Parsecs are a measurement of distance. It doesn't make sense. You can't do something in a shorter distance unless they really wanted to get creative about the sequence. Like, for example, let's say, what if Han, went through a black hole or something like that? So technically he warped and did make the Kessel Run in a shorter distance. That'd be kind of cool. That'd be exciting.
But he did.
But
He
ins-
went through the
he just
thing.
went through a dangerous place, but that's
Which
not
shortens the road. He took a shortcut.
right. But then that's not the Kessel Run. That's like taking a direct shortcut. You're not. The Kessel Run is a predetermined route, and you're just not taking it. So that's not the Kessel
I
Run.
understand what you're saying, but I kind of love that now because even without that, when Han is sitting in the cantina in A New Hope, it still doesn't make much sense. Like you wouldn't understand that anyway. It'd just be like, that's a measurement of distance. What the fuck do you mean?
Well, still, I'm sure.
and so it still kind of feels like almost a meme in a way. So
I
kind of love
didn't
that.
like how they completely ignored it. I felt like you could have. I don't know. You had an opportunity to fix, and you didn't. And I don't see why.
I think that's the best they could do though. He technically did. He technically did take a shorter route, even if it's not the Kessel Run. What else are they gonna do? Shrink the Kessel Run?
They could have found a way.
Could they have?
I feel like they definitely could have. There'd be some creative things they could have done. But what'd you think of Han Solo's arc in this movie? That being, it was
He
literally.
gets all this stuff.
I was speaking more of how his arc is literally how Han learns to shoot first. So.
Kind of is actually, yeah.
Yeah, that's 100% what his
To
arc
be fair, I mean, if you
is. So he has no arc. It's this
but
thin little
is it?
string.
if you learn a lesson, is that still not an arc? Is that still
It
going?
is,
from
but it's
good
not
to
a good
bad?
one. It's not a progression of a huge chunk of his character. It's one little street trick he learns. It's just this little tiny kind of tactic he learns. It's not like a change of character.
Uh, yeah, I guess, but at the same time, so like, you think that if someone picks up a bad trait, it's never a good arc then, or is
No,
it
no,
like,
that's not what I mean at all. I just mean like what he picked up was a small little trick he could use in the smuggling world. It wasn't a change of heart or a realization or just an altering of character.
Is
It
it-
was like I said, just like
could it be
a
you
short
can't-
little lesson, like a rule, like
you can't
don't
trust
drive too
anybody?
fast. Oh, that's a stretch. I mean, that's what the dude's saying the entire time. He's just going, "Don't trust anybody, don't trust anybody," and then it's supposed
except
to be
for
a
your big walking Bigfoot,
yeah,
which
your space dog.
your space dog.
Then it's supposed to be a surprise when he betrays him. 10 minutes later, not even like 5 minutes later.
Honestly, didn't think he'd betray him just because.
Really?
I just didn't like think. I don't know. It's just they're not gonna play their cards that way. I thought there'd be a moment where he would like betray him for a second, but then like immediately go back. You know what I mean? That was what
Yeah.
I was expecting. But I was actually a little surprised. Like, oh, he's definitely in this for the long haul. But yeah, Woody Harrelson betrays him. By the way, spoiler. Woody
And-
Harrelson. I don't remember his name.
I don't either, but
Um,
I remember
It was
Han, Lando, and Chewie from this movie.
Eckert.
Yes.
Eckert.
I don't know.
Remember Kira? I don't know why Eckert. But how'd you feel of Woody Harrelson's character? That's something we haven't talked about.
I feel like a broken record. I've said this a lot. I'm going to say it again. He's fine.
Fine.
There's so much about this movie that I can only describe as fine. Not good, not bad, just perfectly average, and that's why I never need to see it again. I wasn't offended by its stupidity, except for a few things. Didn't really enjoy myself either. I found myself bored until around the third act, which, in my opinion, is when the film really kicks up. It kicks into gear near the end. Because I found, I guess we can just skip Woody Harrelson's character, because he was fine. But the end, the final heist, right before the Kessel Run, but rather the object of the Kessel Run, the spices they're stealing. Not the spices, the I don't know, what is it, fuel? That they use it as fuel.
Coaxium.
Coaxium.
It's like hyperspace fuel, I
Okay,
think. That's
okay,
like
yeah.
it's just what they pour into the hyperspace.
Right.
Just put it on your little square that we learned is a rectangle. In Famous, we learned like a hyperspace thing looks like. It's just a little square, a rectangle. That's what. Remember that?
No,
Oh. It's
But,
not bad. I guess it's not like,
that's fine.
but like
It's fine.
it's just so.
Are you breaking anything?
It
No?
just looks-
Then it's fine.
But like it was weird because it looks so like small. It's like really this is what like gets you like from system to system. It was like it just kind of looked underwhelming. It's fine. It's not.
Okay. Okay. But yeah, no, I thought that sequence, so the stealing of just the heist sequence, it was fun. And then there's all these side things going on
The Kessel Run heist sequence. Is that what you're saying?
before they get back in the Millennium Falcon to partake in the Kessel Run. Like the sequence when they're actually stealing the fuel, they're having to load the containers, and there's like all the prisoners are breaking out.
Oh yeah.
all the
that's,
slave-
That's on Kessel.
That's fun. That's fun.
Mhm.
I liked it a lot, actually.
Did you
I like seeing the other Wookiees.
seeing Lumpy there.
I haven't been so happy since.
he had a face though. It was weird. Like
Yeah.
he had a hairless face. We
Yeah.
didn't get to really see it, but
Yeah.
was that supposed to, I was like thinking, oh, when I was watching this movie, I was like, oh god, is that supposed to be like? If they just like retconned one of, or not retconned, but like, if they just like rehashed one of the Wookiee names from the holiday special, I was like, have they really done that? Is that my boy Lumpy? Lumpy's canon now, isn't he?
Lumpy's canon now. God, I hope Gramps and the rest of the family are too.
Yeah, the rapey uncle.
The rapey
grandpa.
uncle who just watches porn in the living room.
God, he had a weird lower lip.
Uh,
So you actually liked the prison breakout thing?
I thought it was fun. I didn't find the new droid. What was her name?
liked how she looked. It was L3.
L3, that's right. I didn't care about her whatso fucking ever, so when she died, I felt nothing. We don't need any more quippy, sassy robots
You
in
like
Star
how
Wars.
she's why the Millennium Falcon's so good? Because her brain's in there.
I think that's dumb. Actually, no, I don't. I think that is ready for this. I think that is fine. There's that one Empire. There's that one line in Empire. What is it? Where C-3PO's like, your ship has a mouth or something. Like, so that actually kind of ties in a little bit. That ties in nicely. But so yeah, I don't care. Sure, fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily something I thought about, but I guess it makes sense.
I don't really know if I have much else to say on it. Matt, would you recommend it?
If you're just listen, I'm someone who likes seeing not seeing a Star Wars movie is alien to me. It's foreign and completely unheard of. So I have to see it because I guess I'm LucasArts Films little bitch now. But as for someone who is just a real casual fan, really only wants to see the good ones, so to speak, you don't need to see this one. Maybe it's better if you don't see this one. But if you're really curious and you love Star Wars, go ahead. It's not gonna ruin anything for you, I suppose. Would you say it would?
No, this movie doesn't ruin anything. It doesn't go back and retread in spaces that you wouldn't want it to. But it's a nothing movie. There's not much happens. There's no reason for you to see this. So I guess moving on to our next topic.
Deadpool 2! What'd you think of Deadpool 2? You like Deadpool 2? The Deadpool returns.
And he's back, and he's more quippy than ever. This one we're just going to talk
Instantly
briefly about.
a better movie. Instantly a better movie.
Actually,
than
I
Solo.
was surprised.
I started really sarcastic, like I had it's way better than like if you're debating on whether to go see Solo or Deadpool
I thought
2.
you meant between Deadpool 1. I didn't realize you were comparing it to Solo.
Oh no, sorry, yeah, I meant if you're like in the theater, going to the theater, and you're like, oh, which one do I see? Deadpool 2. Unless you are a really massive Star Wars fan, Deadpool 2.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Deadpool 2 surprised me. Thank you for squeezing your bottle of water into the mic.
You're welcome, all 5 people listening to this.
Yeah. Deadpool 2 actually really surprised me because I'm one of those people who I like him. I really do. But
Just good in small doses.
I need once every year I can watch a Deadpool movie. And it'd been about a year since I'd seen the first one. And this movie was not only infinitely better than the first one,
It's bigger
to me,
in scale.
that shows. The higher budget
I feel like
shows.
that's the main difference. Is part of this first half of this movie feels like it's Deadpool 1, like it feels very familiar. It's it does it well. It's not like just this is a rehash. It puts us back on familiar grounds, and the jokes seem actually even funnier. With second act on X-Force gets created, even though spoiler alert, they get wasted almost immediately.
In this amazing sequence, spoilers.
Amazing sequence,
Deadpool
by the way.
2 as well. By the way.
trailer really misled everybody too. It was great. Really like it's great sequence because it just dashed a lot of people's expectations.
I might want to
But in a good way.
The reason we're not talking as much about Deadpool 2 is because there's only so many ways that you can say a movie is funny. And that's why it's kind of boring to talk about comedies. But if I am to summarize Deadpool 2, it's almost infinitely better than the first one. I can't think of a single area in which I didn't like it as much. It's just good. That's it. That's all I can say about it. It's just good.
a mass.
It's funny. It
The
does
best
everything
way
you
to
want a
describe
Deadpool
it.
movie to do. It's nice and self-referential for all you people who love that. There's plenty of action in it, a lot of set pieces that are really good. It's not just a single highway like the first one. I think it's a lot more exciting. It's a lot more gory. The CG is better. It looks better. There's more X-Men in it. Anything you could want,
The
it
X-Men
has.
gags are my favorite.
The X-Men gags are really good.
And even the referential stuff to pop culture is cleverly done because it's not like just It's
Some
not,
of it.
it's
Some
like,
of it really
like
is just
the basic
here's
instinct
this.
leg cross. I thought that was
That
pretty
was
good.
that was really good.
Because
There's-
it's just like there's no explanation of it. You just
You-
oh really? That's what they're doing.
Well, I
You
mean,
see, that's like how it
there's
should
no
be.
explanation until it cuts to Weasel and he goes, "It's his basic instinct."
Oh shit! No, there is.
So then you know exactly what he's doing.
Damn. Oh, I thought I was so clever. Again, I've only seen that movie once. What'd you think of Cable? Cable's the big one of the big draw-ins to this movie.
I really liked Cable.
Shut up, Thanos. That was like great. That's brilliant.
Oh, we're quoting jokes from the movie that other people may have not seen. Aren't we funny?
Oh shit. Well, that's a good point. I did
It
just
just
say
ends there. Oh
if you're-
shit! Ends.
Oh god. But like that's a good point. I did just say if you're debating on which one to see after we spoiled all of Solo for you. But yeah, Cable. What do you think of Cable?
Cable was good. I really liked his motivation.
They nearly.
And I mean, it was simple. It was really simple. It's just I want revenge, but
He's a '90s comic character. That's all they need.
that's fine. It's a Deadpool movie. He doesn't need to have a scene where he cries like Thanos, right?
Also, did you see the end credit scene of the movie?
I was gonna bring that up. The end credits scene. Did you see all of them?
I saw. Oh no, I don't think I saw only of them because I saw that movie with a friend and
Okay.
I saw the first one. And she was like, "Nope, that's it," and I was like, oh, "Okay." And then apparently there's more. Like I know
There
there's
is.
one
All
where
right.
like
I'm gonna detail the Deadpool 2 end credits scene for you because I was smiling the
the
entire
best
time.
end credit scene of them all.
How do you know you haven't seen it?
Fuck you. I've seen the first part when and I was like, this is my favorite end credit scene ever.
All right, so I'm gonna detail.
Next to He-Man, Masters of the Universe. I should put that out. There's not, or Flash Gordon.
What-
Flash Gordon has a great one too. I don't know if that's an end credit scene, but it's
Was
definitely-
Skeletor ever back? Did he return?
There's never another He-Man.
What?
There was never another He-Man movie, was there?
What?
Or in Flash Gordon when someone else picks up that one ring. Not
What
the
about
one ring.
What about
from
the
Lord of
Green
Rings.
Lantern end credit scene?
Oh yeah.
Which, speaking of Green Lantern, the Deadpool end credit scene is Deadpool going through history with Cable's time traveling device, altering mistakes of the past. One, earlier in the movie, his girlfriend dies, fixes that, which uproots the entire plot of the film, but who cares? Whatever, he's
Perfect,
Deadpool.
it's Deadpool.
He does what he wants. Two, he meets himself in X-Men. Which X-Men film was it?
Wolverine origin story.
He meets himself in X-Men Wolverine Origins and promptly shoots himself in the head, ending any cameo in that film. Two, he kills Ryan Reynolds himself when reading the screen for Green Lantern, which is just great.
And then I know later on there's a scene where he's like trying to like activate Green Lantern powers, so it's not working. I haven't seen it. I just think I saw like, I just kind of like know that's the premise of that scene. Please elaborate.
I may have missed that part. I thought I saw them all.
Is that really all of them?
I thought so, yeah.
Oh, never mind. I guess I did see it. Excuse me.
A bear has entered my house.
I feel like the comedy is a lot more varied in this movie.
It's
That's one thing.
not as one-dimensional. It's not just sex jokes or Weasel saying horrible improv lines.
Is that T.J. Miller's
T.J. Miller,
character?
yeah. It's not just T.J. Miller saying horrible improv lines about how Deadpool looks
Basic
like in
instinct. God,
avocado.
I didn't know he said that. I guess I was laughing during like the light cross, so I just didn't hear him say it.
Yeah, no, they make sure you know it's basic instinct.
I honestly laughed more at the X-Men jokes because it's just like I
Oh,
get it.
Yeah. I don't know if I was laughing at him.
Because
but
I
was
didn't
like,
really expect the cast of X-Men to be there that
Show
time to
up.
close the door. That was great. That was just I thought they were like really gonna just reuse the same joke of, oh, there's only 2 X-Men. The studio can only afford 2 X-Men. There's the X-Men. He's just rolling around in Professor X's chair. It's great. That whole sequence is great.
All right, so Matt, would you recommend Deadpool 2? Even though if you're listening to this, you've already seen it. Don't know why I'm asking.
Recommend it to a friend, guys. That's what you ought to
All right,
do.
okay.
Recommend it to a friend. Solo or Deadpool. That's the movies that they're debating to see. I would say pick Deadpool 2.
Ringing endorsement. So Matt, exciting news, good news. Paramount has pulled the plug on Transformers 7.
Oh, really?
They, I'd imagine it's due to the box office
is this
numbers
6?
on.
What are we on right now anyway?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
They're all
you're
the
right,
same movie.
You're right.
It doesn't matter. But Transformers 6 or 7, whatever the fuck it is no longer happening. And I don't know if that means we're saying goodbye to Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. And they're our friends.
Who's worse, Marky Mark or
Shia?
Shia LaBeouf?
Probably Shia LaBeouf.
Really?
Yeah.
God,
Oh, come on, he's just a screaming lunatic. He's just... All he does is fucking scream and run through a city holding a cube in his hands. Or maybe it's a Matrix and he's in the desert.
Are you saying that he's
or
worse?
maybe it's a teleporter and he's in Chicago.
Are you
or
saying
maybe,
he's worse, or are you saying he's better?
I'm saying he's worse.
Oh, okay. Thank God. I was like, no way you think he's better.
No, he's way worse.
Oh, I was like, Jesus, please don't say
Oh man, he's so bad.
that. God, there's like one scene in like, God, never mind. It's just. I wasn't going to point out this scene because I just realized this is basically every scene that he's in, so it'd be like redundant to point it out.
Still, what were you gonna bring up?
There's just
Is it the scene in the first movie where he's screaming and his pants come down?
Sure.
Is it the scene in the first movie where he's being attacked by the cop car one and he's screaming? Is it the scene in the first movie where he's running through the city and he's screaming? Is it the scene in the second movie where thank God he gets blown up and he dies?
Yeah. But yeah, I guess I don't know. I don't be honest. I don't really like Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, I don't
acting.
either. No, he's really bad.
It's just.
Do you remember that one scene from? I don't blame you if you don't. But do you remember that one scene from the fourth one? That's the one with the dinosaurs.
Mm-hmm. Dinosaur themed ones. They're like. It's like new seasons of Power Rangers now. There's always a different theme. Like, you know, like
that's the appeal.
Fourth one was dinosaurs. Next one was like knights.
Every Transformers movie has its thing. It has its gimmick. You know, the first one is it's a live action Transformers movie. The second one has Devastator, the big one with the balls. Mm-hmm. The third one, I
third
guess
one's Leonard Nimoy.
I guess Leonard Nimoy. Look, Spock's in my Optimus Prime.
Mm-hmm. I think the third one I was also just trying to be like, look at the scale of this one.
Yeah, maybe. The fourth one's the dinosaurs. What's the fifth one? Bumblebee. He's killing Nazis. I don't really know what the other one would have been. We never really saw shit for it, thank God. We got onto this because the Bumblebee trailer is out.
Yes, you're indeed.
Well, what do you think of it? Are you more excited? Do you think potentially this could be a better movie?
Still. Okay. Even though it's made by I think he was the producer of a movie, one of Coraline. I don't know if you've heard of that movie, which is a good movie. I don't know if you've seen it. It's
not a small movie.
It's I don't know. It's not the kind of shit we watch normally, but like. I remember it being a good movie, at least. What was the other one? I know he actually
Kubo
directed.
And the Two Strings.
Yeah, he actually directed that one. I don't know how much involvement directing wise he had in Coraline. I don't remember what the other movie did.
I really,
Paranorman, but I didn't see that one,
Okay.
so I don't know.
but no, his stuff is solid. So if there's
he's
any
got
hope,
solid. He's a very visually
interesting director.
yeah.
So maybe we'll get, which I.
But here's the thing:
honestly-
in the trailer, it doesn't reflect that. It still feels
see, it's-
like a Transformers
really?
movie. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was worried about.
See, I actually got a pretty different impression in terms of the visual aspect.
At the same
Bumblebee
time,
doesn't look like
This isn't.
they don't look like walking junkyards.
No, they don't. That's one improvement.
He's pretty
but-
clean. You can tell what he is.
But like
He's small too. He's
at the same
kinda
time,
cool.
it still feels like the same Transformers movie.
I'm sure it
they
will
just
be.
look better. That's the
I'm
literally
sure
only
it will
difference,
be
and
because
therefore I
you're
don't
right.
think I'm gonna see it.
It just cuts to random military men, right? It cuts to a Decepticon. It cuts to them being hunted down. It cuts to random shots of them. I mean, no, it looks like Transformers 1 again. There's a lot of parallels. Like, there's a ton. Yeah.
I don't think it's even worth seeing. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean,
And I was reading the comments for it, and like people were like really excited. Like this is a new change in direction. This is
I
made by-
think they're treating this as a soft reboot, which I don't give a shit. Fuck this franchise. I hope it burns
I
to the
don't
fucking
understand
ground.
that soft reboot. It's not really a reboot if this is a prequel and
Yeah.
it's just gonna lead up to the original movies.
But-
To me, a soft.
Doesn't this completely counter the continuity of the other movies?
Didn't we have this discussion already at one point? The continuity is already destroyed. This doesn't change anything. How can it destroy the continuity if the continuity is not there?
It's still just fucking lazy. Not that I care. I'm not too upset over
It
my
was
trip.
already there fighting Nazis. It's okay.
I thought he showed up to Earth for the first time in 2007, and then
yeah,
they
he
went.
crash landed on a meteorite, didn't he?
Yeah, and then they went to eBay.
I went to eBay.
They fought the Iceman,
Oh,
which was Megatron.
Iceman.
I can't say I'm too excited for this either. I don't think it's gonna be much of a step up.
Starscream's in it though. He's your favorite Transformer.
Is he?
Or I don't know. Yeah, remember? He was in the trailer and you're like, oh, look, Starscream's in it. He's got the classic color scheme.
Look, it tickled my nerd clit, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to give them money.
I just like that. Just like this means nothing to me. Honestly, I saw it and I was just like, I don't care.
I mean,
I
no,
guess
that's the right
idea
approach. You shouldn't
of
care.
Starscream being like the main villain instead of Megatron. That's something interesting because I don't think he's ever really been that in any form. Has
Are
he?
you excited to see any of them turn up? Peter Cullen, who does the voice of Optimus Prime, he confirmed that he was going in to record for it. Does that excite you at all? Maybe he has a more classic design, or do you really just don't care? It's too late, too little, too late.
I don't like Optimus Prime in the movies.
No,
not
he's
Optimus
fucking
Prime.
psychotic. Remember the scene when Leonard Nimoy was asking for forgiveness and Optimus Prime says "fuck you, cunt" and blows his fucking brains out.
Yeah.
Remember that? I remember it. It was fucking brutal.
I just did what was best for people. Well, any further thoughts on Bumblebee: A Star Wars Story? 2.
The 80s is back.
Oh yeah, 80s is back. Gotta make everything 80s. That girl was wearing a Motorhead shirt. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't notice that.
No, you know.
That doesn't entice me to see it. Lemmy's dead. He wouldn't have let that happen.
Oh no.
Alright. So Matt, any
So-
other thought?
What? Let's go over this one at a time. What is your final? What's the final thing you got out of each movie? Out of each topic, I should say.
Okay, Han Solo.
Amelia
Is Han
Clarke-
Solo cleans out his garage while Amelia Clark stares at him and confuses him.
Amelia Clark, not Eddie Murphy.
Not Eddie Murphy. She's not a donkey.
Not Eddie Murphy.
She's a dragon.
She-
Which donkey fucks a dragon? It's
Oh,
totally related.
Fuck. God damn
Deadpool
it.
2, you see his baby penis.
See his
And
baby
then-
penis.
and
It's
then
his
he-
basic instinct.
He does Basic Instinct. That one thing from that one movie you remember because you see...
God, we sound so sarcastic and like we hate the movie, which is the irony because we actually really
Transformers
enjoy it.
is fucking awful.
Transformers, they're gonna bait us again. They're gonna cock tease us again. Oh, and people are gonna fall for it, and they're gonna keep making movies. You think this one will sell more than?
I think it'll do
Transformers
better
5?
than the fifth one.
Do you think it will be enough to save their franchise, which is falling apart rapidly?
If the fifth one did, I think like $600 million, right? US. Which apparently...
Which isn't bad.
No, for a normal movie, that's fucking amazing. But because they're not making $1 billion, they got upset. And they're like, okay, back up. That's not McDonald's money.
Even then, I didn't know anybody who had saw it. I didn't know any.
I
haven't
didn't
asked
either.
Anybody? Well, yeah, but you said your brother had.
Oh, never mind. Yes, I did.
Yeah, but I don't know anybody who's excited for it. And I'm not talking about like just nerd friends. I mean anybody in general.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, they're all the same fucking movie.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. They just get
I even
longer
remember-
and more boring and harder to get through.
It didn't do well overseas.
No, it did pretty good overseas.
Oh, it did. Never mind.
Yeah. There's, I don't know. I don't really see any hope other than the guy who's directing it. Am I gonna give it money? Maybe to talk about, but other than that, like if I were just gonna see it, no. No.
It's not too good.
Any other thoughts?
They took my son.